Thank you, Madam Secretary, for joining us today. First of all, I want to ask you, when it comes to negotiating a global minimum tax with the G7, what do you and the administration see the role of Congress as being?
Well, any agreement that we are able to reach, and the G7 is just one group that, an important group that's expressed support for this approach. The largest group involved is the OECD. Negotiations have been going on there for many years. Anything that affects U.S. tax law must be enacted by the U.S. Congress, so Congress plays a critical role.
Thank you. The administration has proposed to make spending for the IRS mandatory spending, but as you know, the appropriations process is an important part of congressional oversight into agencies like the IRS. Are you endorsing this idea that Congress will be removed from oversight of the Internal Revenue Service?
No, I have no such thought. I think it's important that Congress have oversight of all the executive branch activities and of agencies like the IRS. We've proposed an increase in mandatory spending because the IRS has really not had the kind of budget certainty that it needs to undertake long-term programs of modernization of their technology and hiring, training, retaining the qualified cadre of staff that are needed to improve their audit performance and try to close the tax gap. And we think the certainty that comes with a long period of assured funding. And what we've proposed, we think, is within IRS's wheelhouse to practically increase their expenditures at a pace of around 10% a year.
How is that different, Madam Secretary, from every other federal government agency?
Well, really, these are long-term investments that are just required. We have seen a 20% real shrinkage in IRS's budget, and
I understand your argument, but how is that different from any other government agency? I'm sure all federal government agencies would like to have mandatory spending and diminished congressional control over their budget. How is that different?
Well, it's not inherently different, and most of IRS's budget would continue to be flow through an annual appropriation.
On another matter, Madam Secretary, my constituents have expressed concerns about the retroactive nature of the administration's proposal to increase capital gains tax. The administration's Green Book notes that the proposal would, quote, be effective for gains required to be recognized after the date of announcement. First, a clarification, what date does this refer to, the date of announcement?
I'll have to get back to you on that, Senator.
Okay. Fair enough.
Not positive.
And the other concern that I've heard from my constituents is the fundamental unfairness of people making long-term plans, whether as individuals or as small businesses or the like, to basically change the rules of the game on capital gains after they have relied upon existing rules in order to plan their affairs, whether it's a business or an individual or the like. So do you think it's fair to basically retroactively change the rules of the game when it comes to capital gains?
Congress has the ability to change the tax laws and has done so on many, many different occasions. And I don't see a prospective change in rules pertaining to the taxation of future realization of capital gains as being a retroactive feature.
Let me ask you one last question about the Foreign Investment Risk Review Modernization Act. As you know, Congress has given Treasury new responsibilities under CFIUS, the Committee on Foreign Investment. And as I understand, working with some of our allies to create a similar policy within their jurisdictions. I think it would be helpful for the U.S. to create a multilateral mechanism to address predatory practices by countries like China and the other countries where our national security interests are involved. Is there a process in place to discuss with our allies a mechanism for creating a CFIUS type process so that China and other countries could not basically exploit the gaps in that sort of coverage and scrutiny?
So I agree with you that that would be a very desirable thing for other countries to do. And I don't know that I would say there's a process in effect, but I know that we have had conversations with many different countries about putting in place or it's such a process or enhancing processes that they may already have indicated a willingness and have worked jointly with them. And I think it's something we absolutely should be encouraging.
The time of the